Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Yikes, maybe George Jetson was right. You know, electric car fueling stations adjacent to futuristic office environments, luxurious loft apartments above pre-finished business suites of offices with state-of-the-moment connectivity. Some say going to work has and will continue to evolve. Telecommuting, networking, virtual presence, video conferencing, and more. They say it will change how we use commercial real estate in the future. But nobody ever imagined it would be anything like this. Well, nobody but the executive responsible for the rebranding, strategic leasing, and best-of-class operations management of more than 4.5 million square feet of real estate located in the greater southeastern and eastern United States. Some premier properties right here in the ATL. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 23rd, 2011, and this is a rather unique edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. What makes this Tech Talk so unique? Well, it's because it's not about technology per se. It's about the future of where and how tech companies and other enterprises will do business. We go into the brave new world of commercial real estate with none other than Todd Frye, the visionary principal at C.B. Richard Ellis Investors. He has participated in the acquisition and disposition of more than $825 million worth of commercial property across the country, and that's just in the last 5 years. Todd talks Atlanta and beyond as he describes the rapid moves and changes here in the ATL at some of the marquee office buildings and locations throughout the city, including the big investment he plans for Atlantic Station. When fully built out, it could exceed 13.5 million square feet and $2 billion in development cost. Todd formerly served as managing director of CBRE's Anaheim office and in various transaction-oriented positions with other real estate giants in California and Washington, D.C. The Tech Talk turns commercial, real estate that is, and the incredible impact visionary thinking will have on our city and the companies that will continue to make Atlanta's economy a global leader in technology and beyond, as we go inside the business of building tomorrow's commercial real estate and learn about the incredible environments that are in their future, as we speak with Todd Frye, Principal, C.B. Richard Ellis Investors. Todd, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hi, Frank. Thanks for having me.
I know a lot of our listeners are going to be really curious about your particular, as we say, vertical. Let's talk a little bit about what you do and how how technology affects the company, especially here in Atlanta, but across the country as well.
Okay, thanks, Frank. So I'm a principal with a group called C.B. Richard Ellis Investors. We're one of the largest landlords in Atlanta, made a big commitment to the city, and so really a lot of your members, I would think, or potential members are tenants and customers. And so I'm responsible for a lot of our East Coast activity at the fund level. And just to bring it down to the local level in Atlanta, we have a couple of pretty significant customers of ours that are probably members of your organization, if I had to guess. Manhattan Associates is a big group who we really value their tenancy quite a bit out at 2300 Wildwood, and have worked with them closely on sort of their program and their needs as they've evolved over the years. We also own North Creek, which is kind of right at I-75 in West Paces, and Yahoo has a fairly large installation there as well. If you move up the coast a little bit outside of Georgia, we have done a lot of work with software groups that cater to the government in the D.C. area, and our most recent acquisition is Atlantic Station, which we became the master developer of through a transaction at the end of the year, and so that would include the retail center it would include the 271 17th Street office building, about 15 acres of land, and then also 2 of the big apartment projects down there. And we think the connectivity with Georgia Tech, with SCAD, with Georgia State is going to be really interesting, and we want to really open it up to that community more than it has been in the past.
Well, that Atlantic Station was quite a big deal, right? We're talking not only 13.5 million square feet, but about $2 billion in development costs.
That's right. So that's fully built out, and like I said, the office building is about 500,000 square feet alone. The retail is about the same size. What's interesting about it?
I was there Thursday and had a meeting at that building, and ended up going down. That place is so insanely creative and user friendly. I mean, we went right from the office down the street, and there was a half a dozen restaurants to select from. I mean, it was just great.
We hope it is. I mean, we really want it to sort of fit the community in which it sits, and I'm not sure it completely hit the mark on that front. As it developed over the years, but we're spending a lot of capital to make it more user-friendly. We're actually investing quite a bit in technology there, and then we're going to open up the office building in particular and some of the second floor space we have above the retail for much more creative uses than what has been sort of anticipated in the past. And so we already have about 30,000 square feet of deals, not necessarily technology-oriented groups. We hope some of those will come, but more sort of creative type tenants that would mesh, we think, very well with, sort of, the creative side of some of your membership.
Well, one of the things that we often say is if you're going to sell technology, use technology. Go into a little bit about how technology is helping your company as far as, become more efficient or better to serve the tenants that you're talking about. It's
actually a lot of what you've read. We've had a couple of key areas, and it gets a fair amount of press, whether it's through your website or whether it's through the Atlanta Business Chronicle, even National Trade Rags. Wall Street Journal has a real estate section every Wednesday. But a lot of the focus over the last couple of years has been on greening buildings and on energy efficiency. We have taken a leadership role, I'd like to say, within our sort of peer group, and certainly on the office side, we've committed a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into greening our buildings. And so there's something called LEED certification, which is kind of the standard measure of how efficient and how green your building is. In Atlanta, as an example, we've gotten all of our buildings that we own there on the office side LEED certified to some level. We also employed a software that is specific to commercial office buildings. It's a group called Genea, and they do a lot of our sort of energy usage monitoring and figure out ways through this software to make it more efficient. And these savings are not only savings to us, but they're passed directly through to our customers, the tenants in the buildings, and have really had a positive impact. I'd say the other thing that makes us somewhat unique as an owner is kind of the website accessibility. We've built out a specific website for each of our buildings that our tenant base within the buildings can use as another means of communication. We found it to be very important, not only to kind of keep the conversation going and alive and current with, current events and things of that nature, but also in an emergency situation. If a big thunderstorm rolls through and knocks out the power or whatever it may be, it's just another means of communicating, in a situation like that, or even day-to-day stuff. A light bulb's out in my office, can you come up and change it? We believe in really keeping those lines of communication open, and technology's helped us do that. I think that the third piece of it is that we're starting to see a lot more of is sort of marketing tools on the real estate side. So and I can get into that, but that's kind of its own animal, and we're starting to see some changes in the way that our real estate's being marketed and leased and sold.
Well, it's got to be a lot of conversation. I know it is here, and that is we'll call it the great recent unpleasantry that's been going on as far as the economy is concerned, and the impact of what we call disruptive technologies that are hitting almost every vertical. And what I'm talking about here is cloud computing, virtualization, web conferencing, video conferencing, Skype. How are those kind of things affecting the demand for office and retail space, and how do you see technology affecting user demand in the future?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Frank, that's a very good point, and something that we've been struggling with, frankly, a little bit. I mean, what it does, essentially, the net of it is that tenants are becoming more efficient with their space. They're not, the days of everybody gets an office kind of thing and everybody's in the office 5 days a week is just not true. Manhattan Associates being one, they've really gone to more of a virtual sort of office setup, where they do not require their people to be in the office every day. They travel a lot. Mobile technology has really opened up, as it is for all of us, just the ability to be able to do work remotely. And so it has changed, and they've become more efficient, and the hoteling stuff and all that has changed our business. And so our reaction to it is that it is the way it is, and that that's not changing anytime soon, especially as sort of the generation now that's in their 20s comes into the workforce. They just do business differently, and so we're trying to react to that. The only way we know how, which to me is to focus on location. First of all, we want to be in strategic locations that other folks want to be in. Those typically have a more 24/7 feel. So the Atlantic Station acquisition was not an accident for us, in that we feel like it is a pretty cool environment for people to be in, not only during the workday, but afterwards or before, if they're working out or getting a cocktail afterwards. So that experiential element for us is really key, and the ability to amenitize fully around the location is important. So using the Wildwoods in Manhattan Associates building as another example, even though that's a suburban location, we really spent a lot of time actually working with them and sort of asking them what they wanted. But upgrading that fitness center that's out there, which is actually a manned facility with towel service and locker rooms and everything. We upgraded the cafe that's on site. We built an executive lounge, which is kind of a cool area with TVs and a pool table and other things that the tenants in that building, whether it's a Manhattan or even just a GE or a law firm that's out there, can use it and have a good time with it. They can do it. It's really free to them and have more of an experience on a day-to-day basis.
So you're combining more or less the culture of doing business with the amenities, so that in effect I'll call it the Google syndrome. We all kind of watch all these .coms create these insane environments at free lunches and a lot of great perks and all that kind of thing. I could see you say to yourself, why would I want to stay home? I want to go to work.
Absolutely. That's the goal. That is the goal. Yeah.
And of course, Atlantic Station's got to be a laboratory. I would think now that you're describing it the way you're talking about, I can see some exciting things. The location is spectacular. The collaboration and connectivity to some of the key areas that you've talked about. You got great apartment living there, great homes, and then the amenities and quality of life. Because I know that one of the things that we were involved with not too long ago was an economic development conference with about 40 cities from around the United States. It's a North American Association of Tech Councils. And, it's the cycle goes on and on and on. It used to be gateways, then it was crossroads. Well, now everybody wants to be the next tech city or the next digital marketplace. And so the issue of quality of life becomes about the only differentiator, maybe infrastructure. Has Atlantic Station got the kind of infrastructure that would support high technology there? Or
well, we're really working on that, and as I said, it's a focus, and what we're trying to do is make it easy for people to say yes, and so we are, as an example, at 271 17th Street, we're building out an entire floor basically of spec suites. So we've spec'd the construction on them. We've done a couple that would be sort of more traditional.
I was going to say, they're going to have themes, like Star Trek or something?
Not quite, but we do have open ceiling, a very creative sort of tech feeling space, and then we've done others that are a little more buttoned up, maybe for a professional services firm.
Very neat.
And we've mixed it and really used high-end quality materials. It's a new building, so it's got great air conditioning, great views, great light, all that kind of stuff. And we're hoping to really open the doors to that. And the initial reaction has been very positive. So we just delivered those, and we're starting to get some traction with those kind of users. I think another area that was really overlooked by the previous ownership down there was the second floor space, all sprinkled throughout the retail portion of the center. We recently signed a deal with a group called Creative Loafing, which is a newspaper publication company. They do kind of like city and alternative newspapers.
Our members and listeners would be familiar with it. It's been around for some time, and
yeah,
I hear you. I can understand them being there. Is that what you're saying? They relocated there?
Yeah, they relocated. So we recently signed a lease with them, and so that's second floor, very cool space. You're kind of in the middle of the action, light, all kinds of neat things. It's almost sort of a lofty feel, and we have a couple of those that we're hoping to turn over. Another idea that we've been throwing around, one of those spaces in particular, it doesn't really lend itself too much to retail, and it actually used to be an old daycare center, and so it has these big meeting rooms already. And one of the ideas, we already actually have a conceptual plan done for it, was to turn those classrooms into what would essentially be a tech incubator.
Yep.
And sort of consider incubating
that's the answer.
Technology companies, and something that we frankly would want to work with TAG very closely on to try to see if we could connect the dots on something like that. And then there's small things that really affect the user experience every day there that you may or may not notice, but we think are just subtle ways that we've infused technology into the experience. One would be that we converted all of our surface meters to credit card versus the old coin system.
Yep.
Makes it a lot easier on everybody, and we've gotten very good feedback on that. It's a small thing, but it is technology at work, and it's meeting the marketplace today. They're solar powered. They're pretty cool little units that you just sort of put on the top. We also I'm going to be in town next week, and we're going to be announcing that we will have the first electric car charging stations in, I believe, the state of Georgia, installed and ready for use at Atlantic Station. And I believe it'll be a fairly big group and a fairly big announcement that we make with that. And we're trying to sort of set the trend there and be a leader in some of these areas.
Well, I'll tell you that, the one of the laments everybody always talks about, and it's gotten to be a cliche, is about the traffic and how difficult the traffic is. And in so many cases with the rapid growth, sometimes it can be tough to make a couple of appointments and get there on time, every day when you're dealing with downtown. And there's no debate. Atlantic Station, the access to that place is so easy to get in and out of, and its location is centralized. And as you're pointing out, I've, again, experienced the credit card. Those things are absolutely brilliant. And then the other side of it is, once you basically understand where you are and what you're doing, you can park right under where you need to go.
That's right.
And I went to a Mexican restaurant there, and I parked right underneath it, and I walked upstairs, and it was there.
Yeah, that's right. And we're spending quite a few capital dollars down in that garage to make it easier to navigate, new lighting and new paint that we hope will get people sort of oriented more quickly.
Well, that incubator is a brilliant idea. The electric car, all of those things seem to be, I'm telling you, you're the master of the situation, but it sounds like you got your game on. Let's talk. We've talked about general technology. Any revolutionary changes that you can expect, say, in the next 2 or 3 years? I don't know anybody that goes out that far anymore. Used to be the time we do 10-year plans. Now we do 10 months.
Yeah, that's very true. I think we talked a little bit about the energy and greening, and that has gotten a lot of press, and I think has caught on, and people understand the paybacks associated with that. I personally think that the next sort of wave within real estate is really on the marketing side of how real estate is marketed. I think the tablet technology that's come out is a game changer for day-to-day sort of tours of space, transaction management potentially. We are implementing it quite a bit, and 271 17th Street, again, being an example at Atlantic Station, we have a pretty sophisticated touchscreen sort of presentation that is not only something that you would see up on a monitor on TV as we sort of orient you with the project, but it also is translatable and down onto your iPad. So it is a very cool sort of interactive presentation that we think is a differentiator and that sort of locks in people's attention, allows them to explore on their own in a different way than the old sort of hand the brochure and check out the space real quick kind of idea.
Sure.
We also are working, social media, crowdsourcing, the coupons, the QR codes, the reward systems, things of that nature, particularly on the retail, is really caught on, and we've been a pretty early adopter. If you see all of our leasing signs at Atlantic Station, just using that again as an example, they have the QR codes, and that'll take you to certain places, and certainly in the retail side, that is there, and it's the Groupons and the other coupon operators that are out there, the deals of the day. Those are there. I think it's a matter of time until somebody figures that out and sort of translates it into some of the other product types, including residential, which we don't play in that space, but there's a heck of a lot more residential realtors out there than there are doing commercial deals. And there's a lot of this technology that if you can get it adapted and then adopted, I just think it's a natural tool, these tablets and some of the touchscreen stuff, to accelerate the transaction process in real estate. So,
well, I guess I date myself if I use the saying that commercial real estate's not your father's Oldsmobile anymore. Because
it's
they don't
not.
Make them anymore.
It's a static asset that just sits there. But how it's processed, marketed, and sold, I think there's a lot of ways to improve that process. CoStar, as an example, another technology firm based out of DC, they've come up with some new GPS and location-based applications that change the way the tour process is done and things of that nature. And I think that's just the beginning.
Well, I think you hit it on the head when you say that the environment's not static, and you're actually not just providing some place for someone to put their office in there. You're enabling them and enhancing the situation and bringing a level of quality and amenities to it that really it's extremely exciting. I know our listeners have probably heard some things today that they didn't realize. Anytime you think about a particular vertical and that's one of the great parts about Tech Talk, get a chance to focus on it. You sit back and just go, unbelievable. So I guess, Todd, that's well ended. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I can tell you that you've said some really strong things. You've given us some insights into the commercial marketplace that I don't think the average person would understand, and I got to tell you, it's really, really exciting.
Thank you, Frank. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for being on the program.
Bye-bye.